Welcome to my lesson on pre-algebra, order of operations. Okay, the whole concept of order of operations just applies to the order in which we add, subtract, multiply, divide, square root, square, and so forth when we are dealing with rather complicated equations or expressions in algebra. We've got this little memory trick here that has helped many students for many years try to keep this in order in terms of what we do first. The phrase, "Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally," hopefully will help you to remember to do parentheses, then exponents. Then you can do multiplication and division. After that, you can do addition and subtraction. I don't know who Aunt Sally is or what her case is, but she must be a sorry case because she's required a lot of excusing for a lot of years. Another way that you might remember this or have learned this is the word PEMDAS. The P and the E stand for parentheses and exponents. We need to do those first. Then the M and the D in PEMDAS stands for multiplication and division, so we need to do those next. And the A and the S stand for addition and subtraction, and we would do those last. I like to kind of refer to this little phrasing here. You're going to complete these in sets and work your way through. So I've got a couple problems here that I want to work through. And we're going to look at this little shortcut here. We're going to check out to see if we have parentheses and exponents, apply that and do those. Then we'll check for multiplication, division, do those. And then we'll finish up with addition and subtraction. Okay, so in this first row here, it's not too complicated. We just have two operations, and we can see that division here happens second the way it's written, but we're actually going to have to do that first. We don't have any parentheses and exponents, but we're going to have to do the division first and then finish up with our addition. So we're going to do this first. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then we take a look at, we bring down, our last thing that we need to do is either an addition or subtraction or maybe both. But 12 plus 5 is going to give us 15. In this next case, we have division right off the bat. 18 divided by 6 is 3. Then we bring down, the last thing to do is a subtraction. 3 minus 3 is going to give us 0. And again, on this one here, we have a division. We're going to have to deal with that before we do our addition. 8 divided by 2 is going to be 4. Bring down the rest of it. 14 plus 4 would give us 18. Things are getting a little more complicated here. I've got some parentheses here, and we can see according to PEMDAS, I need to do parentheses and exponents first. So I'm going to deal with each of these parentheses. There's a computation inside each set of parentheses. 3 plus 5 is going to give us 8 in parentheses, and then the 4 minus 2 gives us 2. Now I'm leaving the parentheses here because parentheses, when they're up next to each other like this with two numbers, implies multiplication. And that's the next thing that we need to do according to PEMDAS. So 8 times 2 would give us 16. Okay, in this next one, we have parentheses. We're going to have to deal with that first. 7 minus 4 is going to give us 3. I'm going to go ahead and leave that in parentheses and then bring down my 2, simply because that implies multiplication, which is the next thing. We've done the parentheses from our first set. Now we're going to do the multiplication. 2 times 3 is 6. Okay, this next one, looks like we don't have any parentheses or exponents, but we do have multiplication and division. So I need to carry out this multiplication here, and then I need to carry out this division. Okay, 2 times 6 is going to give us 12. 9 divided by 3 is going to give us 3. And the last thing I need to do is carry out that subtraction. So 12 minus 3 would give us 9. This next one here, we've got an exponent. This is the first time we've had an exponent. We need to do that right off the bat. According to PEMDAS, we do parentheses and exponents first. So I'm going to go ahead and say 3 squared. Remember that little 2, we can also say squared, but that power of 2 implies we're going to take the base times itself that number of times. So 3 squared means 3 times 3, which is 9. And then I can bring down my multiplication. 2 times 9 would give us 18. There's no addition or subtraction here, so I'm completely finished with this one. The little dot is another way that we can apply multiplication. Okay, here we've got both parentheses and exponents. We're going to have to do both of these, but I'm going to have to start from the inside and work my way out. So I'm going to say 7 minus 2 is 5. And I'm going to have to square that. I'm going to go ahead and put that in parentheses and bring down the 3, because that 3 out front next to the parentheses implies multiplication. But I'm going to have to go ahead and take care of my exponent next. So that's 5 squared, which means 5 times 5. That'll be 25. Again, I'm going to just put it in parentheses to communicate the multiplication. And the last thing I need to do is multiplication. 3 times 25 is 75. Okay, lots of stuff going on here. I'm going to have to do the parentheses and the parentheses and the exponents. Now this parenthesis implies multiplication, so that's truly not a grouping symbol. That's a multiplication. But I will need to take care of this exponent. Then what is this thing here? I've got a square root sign, which really is considered, it's the opposite of squaring, so it's an exponential expression. So I'm going to have to carry out that as well. So I'm going to take care of these two things. Okay, square root of 36 is 6. I'm going to go ahead and carry down plus 3. I'm going to go ahead and put in parentheses the result that I have here when I take 4 squared. 4 squared means 4 times 4, which is 16. Then I can just bring down the rest of it. So I've done all of my parentheses and exponents. The next thing I need to do is move on to multiplication and division. I'm going to have to take care of this multiplication here and immediately follow with that division. I want to carry them out in the order that I see them, although it won't really matter what order I would do that in. I'm going to go ahead and say 3 times 16 is 48. 48 divided by 8 is 6. So all of this has been completed for me. Down here to 6. Then I'm going to bring down the 6 plus and the minus 1. You can see the last thing I need to do is addition and subtraction. And I can just do a running tally here. 6 plus 6 is 12. Minus 1 would give me 11. Okay, and I've got some more complicated ones. It looks like I have time. I can go ahead and do these. Here, the very end of my problem has an exponent. I'm going to have to take care of that first. 5 squared means 5 times 5. And that is going to be, actually I'm going to change this just because I don't want to run into issues later. 5 times 5 is going to be 25. Then I can bring down the 3 times, actually I'm going to bring everything down so that I do everything in an order. So all I've done in that first set was take care of that exponent. Now I need to go ahead and carry out my negative 3 times 4, which would give me minus 12. Okay, at this point you can go ahead and group your positives if you wanted to. This is a positive 4 grouped with a positive 25, which would give me 29, and then I can just do one subtraction, which is going to give me 17. This next one, I've got an exponent here. I'm going to have to deal with that. 4 times 4 would give me 16. You could start doing some of these. I could have calculated both of these right off the bat, but I wanted to do one feature at each row. So I've taken care of the exponent. Now I'm looking at multiplication and division at the tail end of the problem. So at the beginning I have multiplication. 7 times 3 is going to be 21 plus 16, and 6 divided by 3 is 2, so I'll be adding a 2 there. So in this next row I've completed multiplication and division. The last thing I need to do is my addition. So 21 plus 16 would give me 37, plus 2 more would give me 39. This next one, we have both an exponent, a square root, and a cube. So I need to take care of those. Those are both considered exponential expressions. So I'm going to leave everything else as it is. Okay, square root of 25, some number times itself, that is equal to 25. That would be 5 plus 2 to the third power. That's 2 times 2 times 2. So 2 times 2 is 4. Times 2 again would be 8 minus 5. Okay, all I've done there is in that first row I've taken care of my exponentials. Now I've got a multiplication that I need to take care of and a division. So 4 times 8 is 40 divided by 5. I'm doing them back to back, so I'm just going to hop down. 4 divided by 5 is 8, and then bring down everything else. So 8 plus 8 is 16, minus 5 would give me 11. Okay, this last row is really kind of complicated. I've got a fraction here. I'm going to have to simplify my numerator and then simplify my denominator. So looking at my numerator, I have 2 exponential expressions. I also have a third one in the denominator. So I'm going to go ahead and just do all my exponents, keeping my fraction as is. So 7 times 7 would be 49, minus 3 times 3 is 9. all over 2 times 2, or 2 squared, would be 4. So this leaves me with 49 minus 9 would be 40 divided by 4. 4 goes into 40 10 times. Okay, in this one we have quite a complicated situation underneath the square root sign. So I've been teaching you that we need to do that square root. That's really an exponential expression. I'm going to have to do that first, but when I look underneath, it's kind of complicated. I'm going to have to do everything inside the parentheses, each component one at a time. So I'm going to work my way out of those parentheses. So 5 squared is 25 minus 4 squared is 16. Now I'm going to keep my square root sign there. I can keep my parenthesis. And I'm going to continue to work my way out. 25 minus 16 is going to be 9. So looking for the square root of 9 would give me 3. Okay, over here I've got an exponent at the end. I've got a grouping symbol here. My parentheses act as a grouping symbol. I need to take care of that grouping symbol first. So 3 times 4 plus 2 is 6. Minus 3 squared would give me 9. Now I can go ahead and carry out 3 times 6 is 18 minus 9 would give me 9. That was a rather long lesson, but thanks for hanging in there with me. I hope that you get a chance to practice some order of operations. Thanks for joining me.